Adam Morrison's story is one of the most fascinating what-ifs in NBA history. Remember when he averaged 28.1 points per game in college and looked like the second coming of Larry Bird? So, how did that guy go from national scoring champ to averaging just 7.5 points in the NBA, playing only 161 games and fading out by age 26? Was it just the brutal ACL tear in his second season, or was Morrison's NBA failure inevitable? Could he have succeeded in a different system, or was he simply never built for the pro game? Let's break down the hype, the heartbreak, and the harsh reality of Adam Morrison's career. Subscribe now if you love deep dives into basketball's most misunderstood players. You won't want to miss this one. Let's rewind to 2006, when the Charlotte Bobcats selected Adam Morrison with the third overall pick in the NBA draft.
With the third pick in the 2006 NBA draft, the Charlotte Bobcats select Adam Morrison.
Now, how did we get here? Morrison was a college phenom at Gonzaga, standing 6 feet 8 inches and 205 pounds, and just 21 years old. He lit up scoreboards and captured the hearts of fans with his intense passion. Remember that emotional moment against UCLA in the NCAA tournament? But here's the catch. Charlotte picked Morrison over Brandon Roy and Rudy Gay, two players who went on to have much stronger careers. Why would they take that risk? Was it because Michael Jordan, then vice president of basketball operations, was convinced by Morrison's scoring? And did Morrison's co-player of the year title with J.J. Redick cloud the judgment of Charlotte's front office? The hype was very real. He was supposed to be the new face of the franchise. But could Morrison's college-style game hold up against elite NBA defenses? Or was this always going to end badly from the start? Morrison came into the league with buzz, but it didn't take long for the NBA grind to hit hard. He started day one for Charlotte, but his game struggled almost immediately. Despite averaging 11.8 points as a rookie, he shot just 37% from the field and only grabbed 2.9 rebounds per game. For a guy who had the ball a lot, his 2.1 assists weren't cutting it either. And let's talk defense, or should we? ESPN's David Thorpe called him the worst regular in the NBA based on efficiency. That's brutal. His player efficiency rating, PER, was a shockingly low 7.29. The average is 15. Why do you think someone that's skilled in college couldn't adjust to NBA speed? Could it be he just wasn't quick or strong enough? Midway through that rookie season, Morrison was benched due to defensive liabilities. Fans had hoped he'd be the next Larry Bird, but how many future Hall of Famers average under 12 points on below 40% shooting? In sports, timing is everything, and Morrison's was just off. In October 2007, during a preseason game, he tore his ACL, forcing him to miss the entire 2007-8 season. One of the worst injuries a basketball player can suffer, especially for someone who was still adjusting to the league. Was Morrison's career derailed by this injury, or did it just speed up the inevitable? What do you think? Could he have bounced back stronger if his game had been more complete before the injury? When he returned, it was clear something was different. Morrison struggled to regain his minutes, his rhythm, and the little momentum he had as a rookie. New coach Larry Brown barely played him in the preseason, and fans were already asking if he was still rehabbing or just not good enough. In only his second year, Morrison was already fighting for a roster spot, trying to prove he wasn't a bust. The ACL tear wasn't just physical, it destroyed his standing with coaches, his confidence, and his position in the rotation. In February 2009, Morrison was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers alongside Shannon Brown in a deal that brought him to a championship contender led by Kobe Bryant. On paper, it looked like a dream opportunity. But did anyone believe Morrison would get real minutes in Phil Jackson's triangle offense? He didn't. Over 2 seasons with LA, Morrison played only 39 total games, never starting a single one. Sure, he won 2 NBA championships, but he was essentially a non-factor on the court. Does sitting in a suit count if you win a ring? Do titles mean the same when you don't touch the floor? To his credit, Morrison worked hard. He joined the Lakers for the Summer League, something rare for non-rookies. Still, he couldn't crack the rotation, and by 2010, he was waived. How frustrating must that have been for a former lottery pick? You might say he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But maybe, just maybe, he was never built for the NBA grind in the first place. Liking the flow, drop a comment, give it a like, and subscribe for more vibes. Let's talk about Morrison's college dominance. At Gonzaga, he was an absolute star, averaging nearly 29 points per game against top NCAA competition. He led the nation in scoring, made the consensus first-team All-American, and took home the Oscar Robertson Trophy. But looking back, was his college success a bit of a mirage? In college, Morrison regularly scored over defenders much shorter and less athletic. He thrived in Gonzaga's fast-paced offense, but how could that style translate to the pro level? When he declared for the NBA draft, comparisons to Larry Bird swirled everywhere. Was that ever fair, or did those comparisons set him up for inevitable failure? It's one thing to dominate in college, but Morrison lacked the athleticism, strength, and foot speed that NBA wings need to survive. Did people fall in love with the mustache and the highlights without looking deeper at his limitations? As brilliant as his college career was, it may have created expectations he never had the tools to meet. One of the biggest reasons Morrison flopped in the NBA comes down to his size and physicality, or lack thereof. Listed at 6 feet 8 inches, 205 pounds, he looked solid until you compared him to the guys he had to guard. Carmelo Anthony, 240 pounds, Paul Pierce, 240th, Kevin Love, 251. Morrison was simply outmatched. How do you expect to thrive when your matchup outweighs you by 30 to 40 pounds and is quicker too? Was Morrison set up to fail by position alone? He was a tweener, too slow for shooting guard, too skinny for small forward. On top of that, he couldn't defend, couldn't create off the dribble, and struggled finishing at the rim against length. Combine all of that, and it's no wonder he became unplayable. And let's not ignore the mental impact of injuries and high expectations. Could anyone thrive under a microscope that intense, especially when picked by Michael Jordan himself? When you look at the numbers, the matchups, and the league's physical demands, it's clear. Morrison wasn't built for the NBA's ecosystem. So, how bad was Adam Morrison? Statistically, he played 161 NBA games, averaged just 7.5 points per game, and shot a shaky 37.3% from the field. He had only 28 career starts and was out of the NBA by 2010. That's tough for a top 3 pick. But this isn't just about numbers. Morrison became a symbol of NBA hype gone wrong, and more specifically, a mark on Michael Jordan's resume as an executive. Would Morrison have been labeled a bust if he went 15th instead of 3rd? Was it the draft slot or the player that failed? After his NBA career, Morrison played briefly overseas, then returned to Gonzaga to complete his degree in 2014. He's said to be financially secure, and by all accounts, a hardworking, humble guy. So maybe the real question isn't how bad was Adam Morrison? Maybe it's, was Adam Morrison ever meant to be great in the NBA? Or did we just expect too much from a college star whose game didn't translate? He wasn't lazy, didn't misbehave, and didn't stop trying. He just wasn't good enough. Adam Morrison's story is less a tale of failure and more a cautionary legend of hype, fit, and unmet expectations. He dominated college, worked hard, and wanted it badly, but the NBA asks for more than heart. He gave what he had, and it wasn't enough. Comment your thoughts and subscribe for deeper dives into basketball's most misunderstood players.